eventually it reached a certain number of people or monkeys doing this that suddenly the whole island of monkeys did this. It was just a certain magical number, and they call it the 100th monkey, where the idea caught on enough that suddenly all the monkeys on the island were doing it. But the interesting thing about it wasn't just that island. When that time came about, all the surrounding islands of monkeys also started washing their sweet potatoes, even though there was no communication between the islands. And that's basically the theory of the 100th monkey.
And so that's also the premise of what you would like to do, what your ultimate purpose and goal is with the pledge.
Correct, to get out to enough people that eventually that 100th monkey's
consciousness.
Exactly,
so
have a global consciousness.
One more person out there does this, then maybe we're going to be right on track.
I hope so.
And so you'll be able to move forward with it. I thought when I first looked at the pledge that it gave two distinct messages. And one was peace, and the other one was pertaining to preserving the environment or protecting it. So are you finding that people are interpreting that the two different ways?
That's correct. Those are the two main interpretations, although there's a much more underlying purpose, I hope, comes from that. And it's basically to take that pledge and make it part of your daily life, so everything you do, is part of that pledge. So you don't, recycle your garbage and then go out and kick the dog kind of thing, that you take it into everything you do during the day and throughout your life. And so I hope they interpret it in a much broader sense, but at the same time, any way they want to interpret it, I think is important.
It's okay with you. So do you think that the younger people are more responsive in general
Tremendously.
to a new idea or a new concept that's going to be global?
No question of it. Like I said, it doesn't take long to talk to a few children and see how excited they get about the ideas and how many ways that they find to interpret that in their own lives, which has been great.
Why do you think that they're so much more open than we are?
Well, again, we learn to put up these barriers, and we're taught in school, and we're taught in here, and we're taught in TV, and we're taught in so many different, influences that these children have not been influenced or spoiled yet, and therefore they're more open to these things and much more creative about it.
I know, I find in my work with children, I'm often amazed at their innocence and receptivity to ideas. If you suggest some little exercise, they're much more free of judgment, I think, than we are, and they're, so they're open and responsive to it, and sure, let's try this, and what a great idea, whereas I think somehow we grow into skepticism often, and the children have so much to teach us, so.
That's a good point.
They don't seem to think about it.
No.
It's like they just don't think about it. They don't judge it. They don't run it through their heads. They just do it.
Yes.
And so they get more results, and then they are able to...
They see things simply. If you wanted to stop a war, they may come up with the idea, well, everybody could hold hands, and then nobody could pick up their gun and fire. And again, that's too simple an idea for us, but in concept, if that happened, that would happen.
It's true, that would happen.
And again, so because they do see things simply, that sometimes makes it better.
Yes. Simplify everything. So now the pledge is what, throughout the Barnstable school system now?
Well, it was certainly done. I don't know what's being done right now. It's certainly been done. Earth Day 1990 was a big time where they did do it throughout the Cape in many different schools. Other teachers have taken it on since then. I've received letters as far away as Egypt saying, we saw the Egyptian Gazette have your global pledge in it, and we want to let you know that we're cleaning up around the pyramids, and we're doing it in Egypt. So it's really been traveling around by word of mouth and through papers and things like that, so it's been exciting.
I'd say it's traveling around if they're doing a cleanup in Giza, Egypt. That's pretty interesting.
Wonderful.
So how did you create the poster to begin with?
Well, actually, my dad came up with that idea. I had the pledge, and he said, well, why don't we put the two of them together? And he has a photography studio and put it together for me, and I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah.
And we got permission from NASA to use it. And it's been great.
To use the picture.
To use the picture and as an official poster of the Global Pledge.
Wow. Now, was NASA supportive of the project and the pledge?
I don't know that they know that much about it. They just basically, I explained it to them, and the fact it was for nonprofit, and we just wanted to get this poster to the kids so they could have a better view of the world.
Huh. Yeah. Wonderful.
So you created this poster. Is this poster available to people now?
Right now it is not available. Right now it's only in photographic form, and we hope to somehow raise the money needed to make the posters and distribute them to the schools.
So would you like to establish a foundation or something?
Well, I've tried that before. It's much more complicated than it may sound. But yes, I definitely do want to do that, and I hope we can eventually do that and put the poster and the idea out to as many people and places as we can.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So I really like the photograph. Now, that was, what, a 69 picture that you got from NASA?
Well, it was. I think it was out of Apollo 8, if I remember. And it was a shot of the Earth, and one of the first complete pictures of the Earth that we had seen. And so it's always been a very... Well, it was really people's first look at the Earth as a whole.
The first time that we really saw it.
Yeah, and so it really has an impact on people.
Visually, you think it sort of changed people's consciousness about the Earth being like, we all have to share this planet, whether we like each other or not.
It hasn't reached that thing yet. But if you hear any of the astronauts talk about how it looks like from Earth and how they can't understand why people fight because they don't have those lines up there. And so it's been an important first step anyway.
Yeah, so that's what we were talking about our last show, no boundaries. Yes. There are no boundaries there. So what about further distribution on the poster? Do you have plans to do that?
Well, again, it all depends about getting the posters made and who wants to distribute them and and we'll see how it goes. So I hope to.
Well, you will welcome assistance in doing that?
I certainly will welcome all assistance in doing that.
If you get some. So your ultimate goal, like say if you could set a goal a year down the line, what would you like to have done, and then 3 years down the line?
My year down the line goal is the fact that I'd like it in all 50 states, at least available, and at least 50 countries around the world if I can.
50 countries.
50 countries,
so then it would
50
definitely be ongoing.
It would certainly be ongoing.
Every hour, 24 hours a day.
Yep, and it would also be interesting to see that poster in Arabic, in Chinese, and all the different languages of the world. So I'd like to see that.
So I understand it's been translated into some other languages already.
It has been.
So how many languages is it?
I only know of at least 2 or 3, and again, we don't know where it's gone and how it's got there, so it's hard to tell.
So, but you know it's moving.
It's definitely moving.
Especially from that little Egyptian girl who said, I'm going to tell all my friends in Egypt and send it all over Egypt. So, which is a good place to be sending it around right now. So, so what do you think some of the possible results would be outside of the children coming together and outside of us uniting?
Well, again, hopefully the adults will learn from the children. As I had mentioned somewhere along the line, wouldn't it be great if one day Congress adopted this pledge and every day before they went into session to vote on nuclear weapons or whatever they're voting on that day, they made this pledge to make it a better world.
Oh,
and,
wouldn't that be
that would be a great way to start Congress off each day.
Yeah, now you said that you actually sent a letter to Governor Studs, or to Congress.
Congressman Studs, yeah.
Congressman Studs. And the governor, I made him governor already. Wow, he's going to love me.
He should be governor.
Yeah, so you sent that, and your quote, I'm going to read from what you sent in your editorial because it sounds so great. Following the wisdom of children, let Congress adopt this new pledge. Wouldn't you feel better knowing that before you voted on $1 trillion weapons system, that day, they too had made the pledge. So isn't that beautiful? That's really...
Thank you.
That's wonderful. So you were acknowledged by